Welcome back everyone to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. So here we are after 5 events into the season, and we have had some great races so far. We have been on the podium multiple times, and also the other times we've been very close to getting on the podium, so I am very happy with our performance. You can see by looking at the point standings on the right hand side of the screen that, I talk a lot during the races about how there are several cars lumped together in the middle of the grid, and that what we can really best expect to do is finish about 4th. And then if something happens, we have a good strategy or something works out in our favor, we can get on the podium. Well, you can clearly see that the middle of the grid is closely packed because from 2nd to 5th in the team standings is not separated by very many points. So this all bears out the same information, is that it is a tight race in the center of this grid. But if you look up at the top, it is clear who the favorites are and who the fastest cars are whenever we go to each of the events. So that's what we're trying to do. At this point, we've made ourselves a very viable competitor for points in every single race. So now what we're trying to do is break out and eventually get above this grouping of cars so that we can be the clear second place car in the division. Now, what could that mean? Well, if we're able to succeed in doing that, then going into next season, this is going to be your champion. They're moving up. Then next year, there's going to be a team moving down to replace them, which should be pretty good because they were in the A class. But then that would put us in line to at least have an opportunity to compete for podiums in every race and hopefully some race wins and a chance for the championship at some point. Now, how quickly all of this happens, it could happen next season, but who knows, maybe it doesn't. But those are the kind of things that I think about for the future and trying to think about this on a very segmented timeline rather than worrying about winning races all at one time. Let's go ahead and get into our email. Okay, most of this, again, we're not terribly worried about that. Pit crew, I must admit, I am really looking forward to getting back into the pit crew. I'm trying to hold off for now because we got some other things going on, but I'm really wanting to get back into that. All right, so do we have a moment for a question? Let's see what kind of question you got. So, yep, here we go. We're just going back and forth with the same 2 or 3 questions now. So we've got somebody's agent has been telling everyone that we're interested. Sure, why not? So we can get that personality trait. All right. So that takes care of the emails. We're not going to worry about the pit crew. Now, interesting thing here. We got 19 more days, or essentially 20 days for this new gearbox. We got 24 days until our next race. So it's not going to be usable for those purposes. And I can't remember exactly which part we developed. It's been multiple days. As I've mentioned, I think in the comment section and maybe in a few of the videos, whenever I record this series, I try to record them 2 or 3 at least at a time episodes. And the reason I do that is because with my health being what it is, I know that there could very easily be multiple days or even a week or so at a time where I'm not able to record. And recording multiple at a time is my way to try to ensure that there's always content on the channel, even when I go several days without being able to record. So what it also means is there's sometimes going to be several days between recordings, and I easily forget exactly where we are. So I need these trips down memory lane just to remind me of where we are and how things are going or not going in the series. So far for the brakes, I mean, reliability is as good as it's going to get, and we're using the best brakes that we have so far. Now we'll see, do we continue to create more brakes or not? All that's up for debate, but let's see. I think what I'm going to do for now, let's just move those over. 85 has proven to be a good number for the reliability, and we haven't had to worry about this too much, but we'll go ahead and get a little bit accomplished on those. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and give it a couple of days. Yeah, you can see 15 days before, so they're going to be ready well in advance So we might as well go ahead and do that. Let's see, on the suspension, well, we can't use these parts anyway, which is unfortunate, but just kind of the way things go with the current staff that we have. Okay, everything is looking good. We'll need to get this suspension component done here pretty soon, so we can make sure we get all of this done before the end of the season. But for right now, we are doing great on time. Okay, let's keep things moving forward. Looks like we got at least one sponsorship opportunity that we need to address. Okay, let's go ahead and see, these are all up at 97. We'll go ahead and clear that side out and get back to full performance. Let's take a quick look. We got 2 spots open for the sponsors. All right, that's good. We'll fill those before we get into our next race. I hear some more sponsorship opportunities coming in. Oh, here we go. We got some of these dilemmas coming in. Money saving tactics. All right, so I've got a phenomenal accountant in the Cayman Islands. Oh, uh-oh. Who knows how to make sure I don't pay too much in the way of tax. Let's see, so what is this? All right, so he's going to pay us some money. Now, didn't we just go down this route? I could have sworn we just went down. So we're going to have to accept, well, I guess we have to, but $500,000. And I'm hoping we don't get an email in a few days that says, oh, by the way, something went very bad with that, as has happened in the past. And oh, look, a dilemma to accompany this. So we just made 500 grand. And how about that? A dilemma that would cost us 500 grand. So in this case, there's a problem with the ECU, and we can fix it for 500 grand, or we can lose some fuel efficiency. But no, we'll go ahead and do that, which is the money we just got. So everything nets out. Okay, we're doing great on the championship standing. Yeah, we said that we were going to come in last. So yeah, that's anything better than that is going to be great in the eyes of those in charge. So we've got a next vote coming up, and then we're going to move back to 2 dry tire compounds. Now, this is one that should be interesting. I don't particularly care. We've got a pretty set strategy on the way we attack things right now. But that can make it interesting. It definitely lowers your choice, and could make things interesting for qualifying, because you would need to save some tires if you wanted to use that particular compound. So that could be interesting. But first, we've got a new gearbox, and that is a good thing. All right, so yeah, at this point, Petra is saying, yeah, we could use a better lead designer. That makes sense. We obviously don't have the top-of-the-line lead designer, but I think we're doing quite well for where we are right now on the paddock. All right, so our gearbox is done. 324, the max is 340, so not a whole lot of room there for improvement. And let's see where that fits in. You can see that is a huge jump for us, but of course this won't be usable until next year. Okay, we're almost done working on this one. So we've got a few new parts that we need to get in here, but I think we're going to have plenty of time to get everything in there that we need to. All right, now we take a look at the brakes. So now we're starting to get, you can see the benefits of having worked on brakes earlier. We're now over 400 there, whereas we're only at about 340 here. And then if we come down to our low-load suspension, it's still just peaking over 300. So we really need to work on the suspension and get it the best we possibly can going forward. Or another great idea is to keep going on the gearbox and get another one up around this 340 number, or hopefully a little bit higher. I'm not sure how far we're going to be able to get above that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the gearbox. 340. Now we've got 4 opened up. So let's see what we've got. First things first, we want to do a plus 60. That is an amazing thing. We got plus 40, which is awesome. Plus 25. plus 20, I believe. We could do 40 to the max. All right, so that would get us up to 360. I like that. That's not bad at all. However, I have to keep track of our money right now. Okay, we're looking at losing around $1 million per race, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little less. But if I look at that, we got 4 more races. And so we can see that would be about $4 million we would need. So that leaves us somewhere around $1 million, 1.5 million in the bank to spend on these. And at this particular point in time, I'm inclined to spend that as much as possible on the suspension. So let's see if we can get above 301 on a new suspension. All right, we're only going to have 3 slots available here. There's a plus 50, which obviously we want. We got a plus 40 to the max or a plus 30. I like that. And let's see, then we get this one plus 25 and a plus 15. So that gets us up to 301. So we've already seen that's where we were. That 301 is exactly where we were already, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to get better than that. Now, the good news is if we continue to do this, it's going to cost us a lot of money, and we're probably going to go over our budget that I have in mind. But if we can get that 4th one, then we can get another plus 20 or so in the suspension. So I really, really want to keep going on this. So the gearbox, again, I have to remind myself, too many numbers floating through my head. 340 on the gearbox. So the gearbox, we can increase it a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough. You can see we're doing great here. Of course, these things fluctuate, and this is subject to change all the time. But I think I just want to focus on the suspension. We're going to do at least this one and probably one more, if we can. That might put us into the red a little bit toward the end of the season, but so be it if we get there. All right, so this is going to get us up to 301. Yeah, I don't know that this is going to work out the way I want to, but we're going to go for it. And let's see, if I don't do that, yeah, it keeps us down too low. Man, this is... All right, I'm going to do this just so we can have both components up where we need them, but I think this is probably about as far as we're going to get. And so we're just going to start out next season a little bit behind on this area. All right, so we're getting time for our next vote. And so this is going to be about the tires, just down to 2 tire compounds for the dry weather instead of our 3 that we have an option for now. And this one, I don't really care either way, so I'm going to see how they vote. I prefer to hold out my votes. Yeah, you can see nobody was really for it. Nobody seemed to really care for the most part. So most of the time I will abstain from these until I get to something that I think is really worth a vote, something I really want to change one way or another, and then I jump in there. All right, let's see. I'm going to imagine this is going to be the same as what they've been all along, and yep, they are. So we'll accept the 450 up front. Okay, looks like we've run out of time before our next race, and yeah, this is our first place option, so it really doesn't matter. All right, so it is race time. So 5th or above, that's where we want to be. And you can see, if we're able to get both the qualifying and the race bonuses, we'll lose less than $1 million, which would be awesome. All right, fitting the parts. I think we're good to go on parts, but just to make sure, let me jump in here and find out. Yeah, we're good to go here. All right, so this one, out of 301, and this is out of 271. So we're not going to get a whole lot more out of that suspension, which drives me crazy. I wish we could, but we're just going to have to wait until next season to really ramp up our production on the suspension. So I think everything is set now. Let's head to the track. Right, practice and qualifying now out of the way, and sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself when you do certain things, and this is one of those times. I really messed up qualifying. I completely spaced out and forgot that I had not swapped out the drivers in car number 1. Went out to do my second qualifying run as normal and would have been in great qualifying shape, probably on the pole or at least second. But I forgot to swap out the drivers, so we're actually starting last with car number 1. So nothing like a little extra motivation going into the race. So our race trim bonus normally is a level 2 at least. Every once in a while we get a level 3. This time practice was very short, only got up to a level 1, and then you can see we're using the crew chief bonuses. Otherwise, setups are good. We're going to be using the super soft tire, which is the middle tire here this weekend, and that's because it corresponds best with the amount of fuel. So 41 laps is the maximum fuel, and then we'll be using the high engine level here, and of course car number 2 we're just going to basically ignore for the most part. So let's go ahead and get this race started. Let's see if we can overcome my blunder. Oops, let's see. There we go. And it spun the wrong way for the way I prefer it. All right, let's go ahead, make sure we're focused on the right car. I mean, you can see even with our car number 2 how far up they're starting. That gives you an idea of how qualifying went. It was a mixture of weather. You could manage to get a couple of laps on dry tires if you got the timing right. I did, just simply forgot to swap out the drivers in car number 1. All right, so let's see what we've got. We'll keep an eye on of course, the tire wear, tire heat, all those things. And it looks like the tire heat is coming up on car number 1, which is, of course, if you're new to the series, that's the one I'm going to be focused on. Car number 2 is essentially a throwaway car for us to save money. All right, we see the tire heat is really coming up fast. And so it looks like we're probably going to have to spend some time in the green on this, and that's perfectly fine. If we need to do that, yeah, we're going to need to do that. Let's go ahead and, in fact, do just that. So we'll see if we can fight our way up from the back of the grid. We should be able to make some progress through a combination of our strategy and the speed. And boy, does it feel good to be able to say that. We have enough speed to be able to run in mid-pack. So I'm hoping our strategy will put us over the top. I don't see any weather coming right now, so we're in good shape. Hopefully I can remember to check that going forward throughout the race. Okay, so we're up to 21st. We picked up a couple of spots. Okay, let's move back to neutral on the tire. Ooh, we are wearing these tires out over here on car number 2. So car number 2, again, just to reiterate, if you are new to the series, then it's essentially a throwaway car, so I just try to keep it out of the way. All right, here we go. We are in the fired up, that purple zone right now, and we are putting on some pretty good laps. But now it's time to calm it down for the tires. Oh boy, wow. Holy cow, we lost some spots in a hurry. Lost about 3 spots in this in the space of about 2 corners. There we go. We did it again. So you can see, again, jumbled up. Everybody is jumbled up toward the center of the grid, and it bears out if you look at the gaps. Look at all of these gaps. They're all very, very similar. It's like we're playing a game of leapfrog here. I pass a few cars, and then all of a sudden, a few cars pass me right back in the space of a couple of corners. So, all right. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So we've got weather coming. And apparently everybody knows it. especially if they've got better HQ buildings than we do. All right, so we're going to try to time this out. Unfortunately, I don't know how long it's going to be here, but I do know it's going to be enough. All right, here we go. So we're not going to come in this time by, but we are going to come in next time by. So our tire choice is going to be Enters. Let's go ahead and, well, actually, I think what I want to do here is let's go ahead and fill them up, because that'll give us the best opportunity for the longest stint, because I don't think stamina is going to be an issue for Petra. So let's go ahead and see if we can get that additional fuel. There we go. Pit stop so far looks good. Oh, we had 2 mistakes. There we go again. All right, so we had gone several races without any mistakes at all, but now we seem to be having a rash of them. So that's unfortunately just the way it goes sometimes. And let's go ahead and swap out. Yeah, we'll go ahead and swap out drivers. Really don't want to, but all right, so look at that. Holy cow. Well, there went our race. Wow. Just wow on that. Can we possibly go back to the car that I chose? There we go. All right, so much for taking advantage of a strategy call. We had 3 separate mistakes on that one, and man, I mean, you can just see here. Of course, these guys are running still on the dry tires, so from that perspective, I don't know how they're still running on dry tires. I have been crushed on dry tires in this type of wetness before. So good for them that they're able to do that. Let's see about the, and well, I'm running faster laps. Well, no, never mind. Looks like they're still perfectly capable of running just as fast laps as me. Yikes. That is huge. And very hard to believe that they're able to continue on the dry tire at this point. So good job on their part. All right, so at this point we're pretty much we're out to lunch on this. Not so much because of the tires, but because of the horrendous reality of where things are. We're going to have to calm these tires down a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we'll pick up a little bit because now everybody's starting to come in for the tires. But unfortunately for us, those mistakes are just going to be killers. Everything is so... Now, if we had the fastest car, then we might have an opportunity to make that up and still get up there for the win or at least a podium. But because we're basically a mid-pack car on speed, anything like that is just a killer move for us. So now let's see how far up we can get. You can see we're fairly close to a couple of cars, and then there's a pretty wide gap that would get us up to points paying and, of course, sponsor paying position. But for now, I'm pretty happy as far as how the stint is going, aside from the obvious issues. So let's see what we can make of this. The good news is we're going to run out of stamina for Petra. She's now been in the car for about an hour, 10 minutes. So we're maximizing our use of her, which is always a good thing. Okay, stamina's getting low. We can see that on the graph. We're running down toward her red level. As long as we can stay away from that red level, we'll be fine. So we're not going to use quite all of the fuel we had on board, which is, again, perfectly fine, because that'll be less time we need in order to refuel the next time in. Okay, so let's really try to get all of the stamina out of her we can before we queue up that next pit stop. All right, tires. Have to watch those tires. That tire heat is definitely coming up. I would love to be able to make this until we can put the dry tires back on. And in fact, we're just going to go for it here. And whenever I do come in to change her out, we're going to put the dry weather tires on. We've really got nothing to lose at this point. I think this would be our only shot, is to mix up the strategy and take a chance. And either the chance is going to work out or it's not. But we've really got nothing to lose by taking that chance. All right, so you can see we're getting down close to the red on her. And so I'm trying to make this last as long as I can until we can put the dry tire on. And that's going to push us way down on her. But again, it just kind of is what it is. All right, yes, she's getting dangerously tired, no doubt. All right, let's go ahead and pit her before she gets too terribly low. All right, Sophia, who is quickly becoming my second driver, we're going to go ahead and put the super soft tires on for her and fill her up. And let's hope for a better stop in the pits this time. All right, so we're not quite back to dry weather tires just yet based on what the other teams did, but we're very close. And it's close enough I can tell you that I'm going to take a chance and go ahead and do this. All right, let's go ahead and pit. And let's go ahead with the soft tires. Fill them up. So our pit stops seem to go much better this time around. Please let me see the car I want to see. There we go. So now we should be roughly back into dry weather as far as the tires are concerned. Let's see how our lap times do. All right, here we go. We come across. We're in the mid-40s. And looks like everybody above us is also in the 40s. They're going to start to come in for their pit stops as well. Yeah, it looks like we're in that zone where you can go either type of tire, either wet weather or dry weather tire. But now we're definitely into dry weather. So everybody's come in now. We are up to 19th, which is really good for us at this particular point. Oh, and we've had a crash. That moves us up to 18th. We'll take it. I hate to see crashes because I always like to see teams have an opportunity to finish the best they possibly can. But unfortunately, crashes are just part of it. Mechanical failures, all those sort of things are unfortunately just part of the deal. All right, so we've worn out the tires as much as we can. Again, we don't need this to be a 4-hour stint because our first stint was really good and quite a bit longer than what we normally get. All right, so we'll try to calm these tires down a little bit. I let them go. I wasn't looking at them for a few minutes and let them get down or let the temperature get too high. All right, but now they're coming back down. Okay, so we're, wow, only about 6 seconds out. Man, this just, on one hand, it's really good that we're doing this well despite that those huge mistakes in the pits. On the other hand, it just makes me sick to think, wow, if we didn't have those mistakes in the pits, then think of where we would be. But yeah, this is giving us an opportunity. See if we can see any other weather coming. I don't see anything right now, and hopefully it'll remain that way. All right, now the tire temps have come back down to about middle of the road. Of course, tire wear is going to be an issue for this tire, but again, we don't have to worry so much about that because we don't need a 4-hour-long stint. All right, so you can see some grip is going to finally start coming back into the track here in the next probably 10 minutes or so. Oh, looks like we've just faintly we can see some more weather coming in the future. Unfortunately, we don't know how much it's going to be, and is it going to be enough to change our strategy? All right, let's go ahead and move back to neutral. Trying to get all the performance out of these tires that we can. We're up on 38 minutes for the stint right now, and we can see weather's coming. There's no doubt it's coming. We are definitely within range of 4th place. We're within, what, about 3 to 4 seconds on that. Some weather is coming. But we got to wait a little bit longer to see if that weather is going to be enough to force our hand. We're coming up on a pit stop. You can see by both the tire wear and the amount of fuel we have left. So we're going to have to make yet another decision. This is where it gets fun. Sometimes you make the right call, sometimes you make the wrong call, but it's fun nonetheless to see how all this plays out. All right, we have now basically caught the 2 cars in front of us for position. All right, looks like we're going to get some weather enough to change tires onto the inters, I think. Okay, yeah, that track grip that was going to start to come into the track is going to be gone. I don't know. This is going to be tight. This is going to be tight. I'm thinking we can get by with the dry weather tire just based off of what I saw the other cars do earlier on. But at the same time, wow, it just continues to increase. All right, so this is going to time up pretty nicely with our pit stop. So the question is, which tire do you go on? And in this case, I'm going to run it just a little bit longer. All right, I'll tell you what. That tire is going down. Yeah, it's at 23%. I really don't want to get it down into the teens. So let's go ahead and make our pit stop and put our final driver in. You can see we've only got 33 minutes left. So we've had some great stints. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Fuel. Wow. This is going to be, can we make this? Oh, so close on the tire. That is, let's do it. Let's take the chance. Why not? This is going to be right on the button as far as making it on that. So we're going to do it. We're going to take that chance. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? We've got rain. What am I talking about? Good gracious. The amount of fuel, lost my mind there for a few moments. So we need about, that should be plenty for what we need. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, I got excited there. I thought I was going to get to use the Ultras, which would be very rare for us. All right, no mistakes. Everything complete. Everything looks good. Okay. All right, so we're going to ignore our position right now. In fact, let's go ahead and push just a little bit and see how the temps on the tires do. Oop, and you can see it's already jumping way up there. Okay, yeah, it's time for your final pit stop too. We'll go ahead and put, yep, time in the car won't be an issue. And let's go ahead and give you whatever amount of fuel and get you out of the way. All right, so nobody else has come in for enters yet. Looks like we've got a couple of pit stops going now. And really wish it would stop taking the focus of the car away. Really wish it would do that. All right, yeah, looks like enters are the way to go. So everybody's coming in at some point. And they are hanging in there, again, longer than I would expect on these dry tires. Woo! Look at me forgetting to look at the tire temp. So we got to slow it down. All right, tire wear is not really going to be an issue because we only got 20 minutes left. So these tires are perfectly fine to make it that long. All right, so let's see. As these pit stops happen, can we make up any positions? Okay, we're going to be close. We've at least got a shot at 5th. It's about 6 or 7 seconds there, but at least we've got a shot. Once again, you can see we are all huddled up here pretty closely, about 4 or 5 cars. All right, let's go ahead and crank everything up on the engine and see if we can make this happen. Because if you don't finish in the points, it really doesn't matter where you finish. So at this point, let's just go for broke. I think we're going to have enough fuel to make it, even on the highest engine level, but you just never know. All right, we're going to push this thing as hard as we can push it. Wow, up to 10 seconds now, so we are in bad shape. So again, those mistakes, any mistakes in pit road will come back to haunt you. I'd much rather have a little bit slower pit stop because of not having quite as good a staff as I would having mistakes. Because mistakes in this game, there are generally not very many small mistakes. When they make mistakes, it's usually like 10, 15 second mistakes. Not, oh, it took an extra half second or an extra 2 seconds. All right, so it looks like we're going to run out of time. All right, we got low fuel, which, yeah, we definitely do. So we're going to be a few seconds out, as it turns out. Yep, not quite enough to get where we needed to be. And no surprise, the team that wins, they're the team that has dominated, absolutely dominated this season. So we come home with not a good finish, but overall, other than that, it really wasn't that bad of the race. It's just the things that happen in the pits that unfortunately we can't control. All right. Unfortunately, you have these races sometimes. Okay, so we did not get our sponsorship money for the race. We did for qualifying. And now you can see we are in a tie for 4th place and losing a little ground on those teams in front of us. But still, they're within reach if we can have some good races to end the season. Unfortunately for us, we really don't have any new parts coming down the line that are going to be usable this season that we can count on really giving us a lot of improvement. Okay, so driver form looks pretty good in this case. Car 2 will move on through. And so basically we lost $1 million, which is about what we had planned on. So everything going according to plan on the money side of things anyway. And that'll bring us back to our main menu. So we had a tough race that time. Admittedly, that's where the pit crew, sometimes they are heroes and help you gain spots. Sometimes the mistakes lose you some spots. But we'll move on from this and head to Phoenix next time. But for now, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me. And stay tuned for more of our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager.